to my channel. I am here with an ASC design team project for the month of July. Remember to use my coupon code Michelle10 for 10% off your purchase and free shipping with any order of $75 or more. So what I have created today is I have some embellishments, and I use the Mintay Dear Diary paper collection. These are some embellishments in a memory decks card that I made to go with the camera I created last month. So the first thing I have here are these beautiful butterflies, and they are 3 layers. There's the paper, and then there is vellum, if you can see it, and then the foil paper. So I love how those came out. This was a silhouette cut file, and I will leave a link to it in the description box below. So I love how those came out, and I didn't curl them or fluff them up because I wanted them to make sure they got there safely. So I just left them flat, and I figured she could do that when she got ready to use them, and they'd be easier to store. So, and then the back of the paper is just from a Prima flower pack, I do believe. So I just used that vellum for that. I'll set that to the side. And the next thing I created are some, I guess, little award ribbons. And once again, this was a silhouette file, and I will take that one loose so you can see. And I used the gold foil or rose gold foil paper that I used on the camera, some of the leaves and some flowers from the ASC Craft Supplies, the Mintay paper, and then I just punched out some of the journaling card, and I used the focal point of those to put on the front, and then just put it together. But I love how the rosette is just perfect where it cut out on the silhouette. And I did use a punch for the gold to go in behind the circle. Put that back one there so I don't lose it. And I was so happy with how these had came out. And these are embroidery hoops that I cut out with a silhouette, and then I used the flowers from ASC Craft Supplies. The leaves were cut out with the same file that the embroidery hoop was in, but I chose to use the shop's flowers. They were just so pretty, I had to put them on there, and I love how these came out. So I'm sure I'll be making more of these, but I thought, wouldn't these be cute on just a 3x3 note card, or, you know, for an embellishment, you could add a sentiment. Those are those. And I did put some Nuvo drops on the flowers, just little dots, so it looked like water drops. And here is my camera memory decks card, and it has the Iris center that has the mechanism that opens on the inside by pulling the lever. So you just pull this, and it opens up. And if you stay tuned, I will show you how I put the memory decks card together. Okay, so I have imported the card base as well as this little memory decks base that I created, and all I did was take a regular memory decks card, slice it off, and make it small. And I use it so much when I'm making 3D memory decks cards. So the first thing I want to do is I want to make the whole card smaller, and we want to keep it grouped together so all of the pieces will, you know, still fit back together because we're manipulating the whole file at the same time. And this is just, you know, no science to it, just keep moving the pieces around until they match up. And I think that looks really close, actually. Not over split, and that looks pretty good. So I'm just going to scoop this over here, and I'm going to move this to the side, and I'm going to show you the pieces that I didn't use. And we will ungroup it at first. Group. So I did not use these little flags for this piece here. Oops, I did use the circle. I did use this piece here, or this piece, and this piece has these little tabs that you can fold it back so you don't have to use brads, but I like the brads better. I think it's more sturdy. So I'm just going to delete those, get those out of the way. I'm going to delete this font, and These little gray tabs just had writing, so I will get rid of those as well. And we want to duplicate this new piece. I use 2 of those, and it makes such a difference when you want to open and close your shutter. And then for my decorative pieces on the front, I just took this piece, and in Silhouette, we have a function called offset. And for this, I'll be doing an internal offset. So I'll move it over to the side. And it's hard to see, so I'm just going to make it this color, and then I want to do another internal offset. And so those are how I got the 2 pieces for the front. So you can do that with Cricut. You'll just have to make your size and duplicate it and then reduce it down, but it should still work. You may have to slice out the center with some circles though. So I want to get this closer to the mat, and we'll take this piece, and I'm going to duplicate the front, and I want to bring it over and attach it to my card. And what I'm doing is I want to bring this down to where there's no pink. See how there's pink? Then that will make the holes of the memory deck smaller. We just want to bring it down to where it does not show through. I've grouped both of them together. I'm going to align them in the center from left to right, and then I am going to weld them together. So that's how we got our base to put our Iris Shutter on. And I also want to get rid of the circle in the middle, so I'm just going to delete the center point. Cricut, you would have to weld a circle into the middle, and we'll also need 2 of these. So what I did was I cut all of these pieces out of the same cardstock, but you can do it however you want. Scoop these all over there, and we need to get our little balloons and move over. Bring these up here. And I am going to make this little arrow just a tiny bit bigger. And then just make sure it still fits on the cube. And it does. So I made mine just a little bit bigger so it would show up. So these are the pieces that I cut out of my solid cardstock. And then this is the decorative piece. And then this is what I used in foil. And I think this was a foil piece. And then this goes on top, and I use the same color cardstock, so I'll go ahead and put it there. And I'll also cut the arrow out of foil. So I hope this makes sense. If you have any questions, just ask in the comments below. So we will go over the pieces we need for our memory decks card. I cut an extra, we'll call it a cue, that forms the handle, and your iris mechanism is hooked to this, so when it turns it opens and closes. So I cut 2 of those out. We have 3 of our little tabs that we need, and 4 pieces that form the shutter. And this is the front cover. It'll cover the mechanism that goes here on this piece. And I did put some pencil lines for where my tabs go. And this is the piece I'm going to put behind my shutter. And we have the decorative pieces that go on the front. And I just like lots of layers, so I cut out some extra circles. And 2 pieces of the memory deck space, because I want it nice and sturdy, so we'll glue those together. And then this is just the piece that goes on the back. And you also can cut out this tiny little arrow that goes on the handle, so you know that it is an interactive card. So we will get started, and the first thing we're going to do is I'm just going to turn that to the right, and we're going to glue these little tabs down. And the reason I'm calling them tabs is they do have a little part that folds here, and the part that folds is going to go on the outside. So we're just going to line this up with the circle, and I am going to use my art glitter glue for this. And you don't want to put too much so it oozes out, because we don't want any sticky interfering with how our card works. So I'm just going to put a little bit of glue and line it up. Mainly just make sure you don't cover the hole there. So that looks good. And we'll do the other two. Like I said, I'm not going to put too much glue so it doesn't ooze out. And we'll just line these up with the center. Make sure they're adhered. Okay, so that looks good. And the next thing we're going to need is our two cues, and we'll go ahead and glue those together. And I'm going to take my piercing tool and I'm going to go through, there's tiny little holes right there. They're hard to see, but when you cut this out, you will see them. I just want to be able to get my brads through these. And I do have the smallest brads that I could find, but the hole just isn't quite enough for me to get it through, especially where I've doubled this up. So now I'm just looking to find, there we go. So that should work. And then I'm also going to do the same thing to the tiny little holes here, because I just want to be able to get my brad through. And I think I did forget to mention that we will need 4 small brads, and they can be any color. You're not going to see them. Okay, so I've got my brads, and they are, let's see here how big they are. I think they're about 1/4 of an inch is how long the prongs are. So I'm just going to lay those to the side, and you can see mine don't all match. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take, like I said, I call them balloons. We're going to insert this little tab in this part, and then you're going to turn it, and that will lock that tab so it doesn't come out. And you're just going to go around and do that to the other 3 holes. So this one will go underneath and then turn, and just making sure they don't fall out right now. Whoops, see, they want to turn really easy. So just put it in and turn it to make sure it holds in place. And this one is not, turn it so I can see. And this one got caught like that. So you just want to make sure you get it in correctly so it will close and circle. It'll form around the circle. Like so. And the last one we'll put in. And then it just lays like that. Okay, and now we'll bring in our cue piece, and we're going to line it up, and this is how it will be when the shutter is closed. But to make the shutter closed, we're going to have to turn it this way, so then when the brads are attached and we pull it back, it will be closed. So that's why we're putting it this way, because I know it doesn't look right, but it works. So I'm just going to go around and put my brads through the hole, and I'm just matching it up with the hole on the shutter piece. That looks like the little balloon. So I'll show you once I get. So I'm just matching that up. And make sure your brad, the prongs are pushed really tight so that it won't interfere with the mechanism. Okay, so that's that one. And I'm just putting the hole through the top in the cue, and then there's a hole in the bottom here, and I'm just matching those up. So I'm going to go around and do the other 3. Okay, so I have attached my brads, and it is open, and then I'm just going to turn it ever so slightly since it's not held down, and then that piece turns back there, and it closes up the shutter. So what I'm going to do now is attach some score tape on the sides and the bottom, and make sure whatever adhesive you're using doesn't interfere with these tabs. Pop dots on the little tabs. I think that works easier for me. So we're just going to fold the tabs over the Q and attach these little glue dots. Our cover, and I'm just going to line it up with the top. And that looks good, and I'm just going to reach under and hold the tab down. See, I'm holding the tab down, so when I lay this on the top, I can push and it will adhere this to the top, and that's what holds the mechanism in place. So now I'm just pushing this tab down and holding it, and I'm going to do the same thing and hold it down, and then just push it down like that. And we can still reach under here and get our score tape line. So I'm just going to take the score tape off the edges and the bottom. And do this one, the last one. Now we just turn it to open it. And it works really well. I'm going to leave it open for now. I want to adhere my decorative piece, and since this is thicker in the middle, I liked using pop dots in the four corners. I'm going to center this on our camera, and that looks pretty good. Okay, and now we can glue our decorative piece on. And we'll glue our circles on. Forgot, we need to glue our little arrow. It's so tiny. So the recipient knows to pull the tab. The next thing we're going to do is glue the two bases together. So now we want to figure out where our picture is going to be when the shutter is open. So what I did is I just used the piece that cut out from the center. It actually had a piece of the cotton candy, pretty good. So I just used it. So what we'll do is I'm just going to slide that up where I want it. And that looks pretty good. And I'm going to put a little pencil mark at the top and the bottom. They have a piece that you can cut out and put in the center, but I just had this and I like the looks of it, so it's what I used. So, get it turned correctly, and I'll just do a dry fit. Yeah, that looks perfect to me. And then on the back of this, I am going to use some more score tape. So we'll just go around the sides and the bottom again. And we'll line this up like so. Oops, it's a little bit off. Let me pop it up here. That looks better. I'm just going to push it down, go around here on the edges to get the, there we go. And the last thing we will do is we will try our shutter out one more time. So it works really well. Like I said, the handle, making it 2 layers is a big difference. It works so much better. And then on the back, we will just put our decorative piece. I'm trying to decide. I just love those roses and butterflies, so I'll go with it. Even though I love the tickets too. This was the piece of paper that I love the front and the back. I hate when that happens. Okay, so here is our Iris Shutter Memory Decks card, but I love how this came out. I hope you do too, so I'll love to see what you create. So make sure to tag me if you make one. Thank you. Bye-bye.